So after I released the modern and ancient technology YouTube, I got a message asking me why don't I talk about Qi and the Jing or force flow, which is the true internal art stuff. Well, sure, if you want to measure that for the Qi, if you have this infrared photography, you can see the change in the distributions of the temperature in the body for those kind of stuff. Also about the Jing or force flow, if you tip out with the sensor, like in the physics lab where we see in the TV, they can use it to measure the force vector, force trajectory, those kind of stuff. We can actually monitor that. So there's nothing special. It is really tangible stuff. Now, however, these are a very subtle thing, okay, and if you look at the way how I categorize the 6 core elements, first is the physical element, second is the mind, the third is the breathing, the fourth is the Qi flow, the fifth is the force flow, and the last one is the momentum. Okay. If we do not have a handle of the physical mind and the breathing, and we jump right away to the Qi and then Jing, guess what? You can look around in this world. Everybody talk about Qi and Jing, but the best thing what they do is what? Demonstrations. Okay, so how is that going to use in the real life? A lot of people who claim they have Qi and Jing and so forth, when they get into the biofeedback lab testing the university, they cannot do it. Why? Because a lot of those stuff are just gimmick and for demonstrations. You want to talk about real combat, those are for show business. You want to talk about for healing, again, those are for show business. I used to ask people who said they train Qigong, I say, have you ever seen how many of them be able to cure their, say, their high blood pressure and so forth, okay, or misalign the body? Everybody will say, well, I can control this, I can control this, I can generate heat here and there. But in the real life, okay, for medical records, can they really have it? Okay, so for me, is the Qi stuff exist? Sure. The Jing stuff exists? Sure. But without the first three elements very well handled, it is show business. It's not tangible at all. Okay, and this day we always heard a term called, well, can you stand under pressure? Well, if the physical element, the mind element, the breathing element do not develop into a very rock solid, we know it cannot handle under pressure. That's just a reality. Say for example, you get this Fitbit to measure the heart rate, or and then the brain wave, and then the breathing. Under pressure, if that thing, if the heart rate go up and down, like running crazy, and the brain wave, it just stress the heck out of it, and then the breathing is just going shallow and panting. How is that supposed to do anything at all? That means the basic function doesn't even work. Okay, so The same thing in combat and the same thing in the healing. If there's no basic solid handling on the first three layer or first three element, physical, mind, and breathing, which is the very basic, don't forget about the rest. The rest is, what's good is about talking about that thing. Okay? Now, I want to show you one thing. The ancient actually is not like people like us, most of us today talk about internal, you get qi and then the jing and so forth. When the ancient Chinese talk about fighting up or combat, they're that serious. They're that serious in having a really solid foundations on the physical, mind, and breathing. Okay? So today I'm going to show you something from writing from Shaolin. Okay, Shaolin, classical book, because I want to move out from the Ermei and just even to show you the Shaolin, the real Zen stuff. Okay, they are the same. Okay, they talk about the same thing. Okay, so if you can get this book, this Shaolin book, okay, at page 65. Okay, page 65. It said here, if you want to learn how about combat, you need to learn immobile heart, or your mind stable. Okay, immobile heart. Okay, or unmovable heart, or unmovable mind. Okay, and the next page it say that if you want to learn about fighting, then you need to learn of counting breath. Okay, so that's about your breathing. And the last one, if you want to learn about fighting, if you want to learn about fighting, then you need to learn about be able to master life and death. Okay, so this is Zen stuff. This is Zen stuff. Master life and death. It is said that when Bodhidharma was given poison, he just eat it. Okay, because he have a master of life and death. Okay, so in this issue, I actually in 1983 I went to the Zen Patriarch of United States over here, Venerable Shenhua, when I asked him to take me as a student. Okay, he told me two things. One, he said learning Buddhism, Zen, is not like to be a Superman. At that time the Superman movie is very popular, to see who is more hard, more strong, okay, crushing, and see who is more powerful. He said Buddhism is not that. Okay. The second thing, I was telling him a whole bunch of theories and this and that and martial art and so forth, and he just asked me, he looked at me, he just asked me, can you master your life and death? And then he stopped there in silence, looked at me, quiet, like for 5 minutes. It scared the heck out of me. Okay. And he told me, if you have no handle of life and death, all are just talking Zen, just all talk. Okay? Zen is about be able to handle life and death. Okay? So you can see that those Zen masters, they are fearless. Okay? So I tell her this thing, this Shaolin stuff is just to show you. First, you know, with this wearable technology, if my heartbeat is going up and down, okay, rapid palpitations, once I'm in stress, my mind is going to stress, my breathing going to irregular breathing and shallow breathing outing. How is that supposed to be fighting? Okay, how is that supposed to be doing any healing? As we know that from the, remember the physical have 3 state or 3 level, the breathing have 4 level, and the mind have 3 level. The physical has to be lightweight. The the mind has to be in peaceful. The breathing has to be in really smooth and deep and really fine breathing. If we cannot be in that state, there's no real Kung Fu there. So for me, there's a reason why we need to look into this instead of jumping around and all the story about Qi and Jing and so forth, so forth. It doesn't do good in the fighting, it doesn't do good for healing. So what I want to share with you is that from the ancient, you know, this is just one example, and I just take Shaolin, Ermei and so forth, the same thing. Okay. And if we don't develop that basic 3, it is hopeless. Okay. And with this, what written here about the mind and the breathing, today we can have a high tech, as I show you on the other YouTube, using the breathing, the respirate to help us to handle our breathing, to develop it, using the measurement of the heart rate variations and brainwave to help us to develop this. Okay? So even though we talk about high tech, we never divert from the ancient. We just try to make it better and easier to learn and understanding and identify what it is there. And so we can develop it and to have a solid, really solid background. Okay? So this is for you today.